Hi again folks, how you all doing? This is the Hornby 14XX sent to me by Dan. This was bought new but had a gear issue that the shop refused to deal with, so the model got sent to Hornby. Hornby fixed the gear issue, but it now has a new problem in that it rocks on its centre drive wheel. Dan has sent it to me to investigate. Well, let's turn on the power. So yeah, it runs, but with that instability it's never going to run well. We need to get all the wheels back on track. Let's pack this into the shed and off to the bench. Oh, get in. Right, let's get a look at this little Hornby 14XX, see why it's rocking on its centre wheels. I mean, the obvious thing is that Hornby have possibly forgotten to put springs in there, but it could just be a case that the springs have got compressed. That's kind of what I suspect. But we'll open it up and we shall have a look. We'll undo these coupling screws. Not sure if they're holding the body on as well or not. Oh, we've got a wee screw down the funnel. That chimney's loose. Right, so I'm going to come out now. Oh, it's got these pipes. There we go, undo those. I have worked on a 14XX, but it was the Hornby one, but it was basically the Airfix tooling. And it had a ridiculous drive system. There's something. There we go. Yeah, kind of clips in at the back. So a little Type 7 motor. It's been well greased up, all looks okay. We'll give it some fresh lubrication in there, but that all looks fine. It's a lot more sensible than the Airfix tooling anyway. But let's remove this underframe and see what's going on with that rear axle. Undo that. This is clipped on. Another screw there. Undo that. Remember my geography of parts here. That comes out. Is there another screw? Yeah, there's another screw at the front. Takes that off. Now this should all come apart. It's kind of clipped on and screwed on. Just crazy. Oh, Hornby, what are you doing to me? Right, there we go. And of course, this is going to have pickups. Why isn't the... Oh, gee whiz. Yeah, there's a great big spring for that rear axle. I just don't think it's doing its job. That's why I've done... How on earth did I get into the pickups in this? Might have to pop the motor out just to get some slack into the wires, like that. And then we can get it out. There we go. What a faff. So there's the spring. Just a big spring like that. And it sits rather crudely on top of that axle. So I think all we need to do is put that over a screwdriver and give it a bit of a stretch. Just to increase the downforce on that rear axle. But when we've got everything apart, we'll give it all a clean up. A wee bit of a scoosh. Pickups all look okay. An awful lot of grease on there. You see the excess grease is spilled out into the pickups. It's not good. Scoosh that away. No bearings either, so it's not Hornby's finest. This it's a railroad model. So yeah, you expect some compromises. Right, okay. I don't think there's much else I can do to this really. Put this in. Spring in there. This is going to be fun and games getting this axle back into position. To hold it there, get some fresh oil into the axles. Try and reposition this without that. Oh, come on. That down first. I don't like this model. It's just silly the way it's put together. Yeah. Right. Pickups all in contact. There's plenty of grease in there. I think we'll just get some gear oil on it. Get some gear oil on the worm gear. Like so. Come on. Where does this go back in? That. Right, okay. Let's give it a wee try at that. So because of that sprung rear axle, it's always going to, you know, rock like that if you do that with your hand. But so long as that rear wheel is making contact with the track, it should be fine. And I just think the spring had become a little bit compressed, so now I've stretched out a bit. I think this will probably be okay. We'll try it with the body on. Right, okay, we've got rods at the front and back to negotiate. This clips in at the back. It's quite a tight fit. There you go. We'll get this screwed down. Right. That pipe's gone in by itself. That was nice of it. This one's proving to be a bit stubborn. I think there's been some glue in there that's blocking it a bit. Put a pin through from the other side. There we go. That's opened it up. There you go. Right. Couplings. Right, okay. Let's see how it goes fully assembled. Well, it seems absolutely fine on the test track. So as I suspected, it was just the spring for that rear axle had got a bit compressed. Right, let's pull it out of the shed. So there we are, that's Dan's 14XX sorted. I think possibly what happened with this originally was that the motor hadn't been fully engaged when it was manufactured, or it had subsequently popped out of position, causing the apparent gear issue. I did notice that the worm gear is quite lightly engaged with the drive gear. So, you know, it wouldn't take much to knock the motor out of position and cause the gears to slip. Hornby corrected that, but I don't think they test ran the model afterwards. I think they just popped the motor in place and fired it back to Dan. The spring on the rear axle simply didn't have enough force to keep the rear wheel on the track, which resulted in intermittent pickup and poor running. The model really should have a die-cast body to add weight and have no traction tyres, but this is a railroad model and it's pretty much a revamped version of the old Airfix tooling. But it runs very nicely now, although I suspect at some point it'll need to have the spring stretched out again, or ideally replaced with one that's a bit stronger. Anyway, I shall get this packed up, ready to go back to Dan. Catch you later, folks.